Another dream about him.
Let's turn this music down a little bit. Let's turn it down a little bit. Let's see here. Oh, hang on. But I'm in a corner. Hang on. All right. Hello, my friends. I don't know if Will's joining today. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it on. He's still recovering from his journey to the other side of the world, journey to the center of the earth. But I do hope everyone is doing okay today. It looks like my camera is a little, we got a little unevenness here. Hang on. Let's see. Is that right? There we go. Huh? Hang on. I think it's a little better. Camera's interesting. I don't know. We just got him back. Gone so soon. I know what you guys are really here for. He might jump on. I'm not sure if he will or not. We'll see. YBIT podcast afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. I hope everyone's doing good today. A lot going on in the gaming world. We've talked a lot about Ashes of Creation, but there is quite a bit happening. He's actually 3 giant Australian spiders and a trench coat. It's hard to keep up the disguise. That's why I haven't seen him in person since he got back. It would out the ruse. But as I was saying, we've been talking about different gaming news that's been going on. And we got a few games that are even coming out in the near future. We aren't unabashed lovers of Blizzard on the channel, which we've gotten some criticism for knocking them in the past, but we do have a new WoW expansion coming out this next week, Midnight, which I'm excited for. We have a new Path of Exile League coming out the following week. We have Arc Raiders with an update coming out next week. I think it's next week. I'm not sure. And then we have Slay the Spire 2 entering early access the week after next, I believe. Slay the Spire, I have spent many long hours on, and I am very excited for early access. So finally get to fly in Silvermoon 20 years later. Yes, I think this is like one of the best illustrations of technical debt in WoW. And for those who don't play WoW, who aren't familiar with it, but and you might have to help me because I don't remember the exact details on this, but WoW's an MMO. You can travel anywhere, and you have flying mounts. You jump on your griffin or your bird, or now there's like hundreds of mounts, but you fly around to go wherever you want to go. Well, whenever they built one of the capital cities in the world, help me, wasn't it like they only built it flat, like where you couldn't actually go? Okay, yeah, Old Silvermoon is just behind a portal at the past. It's not actually in the world. That's right. I was thinking the issue was like they built it flat, and then there's like a vertical spot where you couldn't actually get over anything. But that's probably not it. So that is correct, though, that it was just behind a portal in the past. So all this to say, for years, I mean, this has been out for years and years and years, and people have said, hey, it'd be really nice to be able to fly in this city. And they have apparently reworked it and rebuilt it, and it is no longer behind a portal. They completely rebuilt it. Yeah, okay. And for whatever reason, there was just nothing there in the old world. It's phased like the Draenei Island. Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So, and I'm glad that they totally rebuilt it, because I also read, I wasn't clear on if they only had like certain sections of it that they had worked on, or if they had done the entire zone and like the ghost lands and all that stuff. But I am excited about it. I'm a WoW junkie. We just had the Burning Crusade Classic come back out again, which, by the way, my poor wife, I'm always keeping her in the loop on, she's not a gamer at all, so keeping her in the loop on the latest releases and re-releases. So I was like, yeah, the new WoW expansion comes out next week. And she was like, I thought that just came out last week. And I was like, no, that's TBC anniversary servers. And she was like, oh, okay, TBC. And I go, yeah. So that's the thing that they released, 4 or 5 years ago, and now they've re-released it again. And she was like, oh, okay. Because I thought like a few years ago they re-released like the old version. And I was like, they did. They re-released the original release 5 years ago, and now they are re-releasing the re-release, but that's not the release for next week. That's the latest release. So, and then, you know, explaining also the remix editions where it's like, oh, well, remix is a re-release of old content, but it's not like the other re-releases. It's like an arcadey version of it, and it's really nice, you know. But again, my poor wife trying to make heads or tails of all of that. So, I co-run a Blood Knight order-based RP guild. These are quite interesting times indeed. You know, we loved back in the day jumping on an RP server, and I don't know if this is still the case, but back in the day, Blizzard would be pretty, it seemed like they were pretty intent on like protecting chat for that, because I remember, I don't know if I got in trouble or if I got silenced, or I jumped on like an RP realm and like was not RPing or something. And I might be misremembering this too, by the way. This was vanilla WoW, I think, or maybe it was TBC. I can't remember. But all that to say, we were then on Grobulus for Classic re-release, which is an RP realm, and definitely no RPing was happening there. There was a little bit, but there was definitely no patrolling or anything like that, which is too bad because I think the authentic roleplay experience is pretty neat. So yeah, drop a screenshot in. I'm very curious about that, and I think that's pretty cool. Blood Knights, by the way, getting lots of changes for Midnight, in a good way it seems. Lots of good changes. I've played a Blood DK for a few expansions and put him on the shelf this last expansion because he was just too frustrating to play. And I'm a pretty average player. I think our guild went 6 out of 8 mythic in the most recent raid tier. And then we got, you know, what is it, 3,000 IO for the mount, whatever that rate. I think it's 3,000. So got that, and then, you know, hung up on the shelf for the season, I guess. So, but anyway, on another note, you know, I mentioned the Path of Exile season coming out, but specifically Slay the Spire 2 into early access, which, you know, early access is kind of a meme these days. It's like, what are they really going to do with early access? I'm curious what y'all's reactions have been so far to Slay the Spire 2, because I think they had, well, didn't they have like a closed beta or like a let's see here. Because this isn't the first time that people could play it, right? Wasn't it also in something, or has been in something, like some version that was accessible? Or am I just misremembering this? Yeah, I don't know. I might be misremembering, but man, Slay the Spire 2, though. Slay the Spire, excuse me, is like my ultimate. Hang on, I gotta find my stream here. I lost my stream. Slay the Spire is like my ultimate travel game. You know, you're on a flight, you're in a car, you got to do, you know, pass time for several hours. You know, I could read a book, but I instead choose to chase the dopamine, I guess. And I've had many great memories. I keep wanting to call them heat levels, but I think that's Hades that I'm thinking of. But pushing, you know, those levels to see how I could go. And I feel like I got okay at it. I really wasn't, though. And then there's a couple of streamers that I would follow, or one of them was a YouTube creator. And I realized very quickly that some people, have you ever played a game and just been like, oh, I'm playing a very different game than these other people? It's kind of like when you play, I don't know if you guys ever played Path of Exile, but it's like when you play Path of Exile and you finally get strong enough to like survive the map, and you get to like the pinnacle boss, and you fight the pinnacle boss, and like it's this battle back and forth using all your health flasks, your charges, you're trying not to die. You finally kill the boss after like a couple of minutes, and you're like, wow, I did it. And then someone shares a video on Reddit or YouTube of their build, and they go into the boss room and they literally one-shot the boss, or they just like scoot through a map in like blazing speed and like everything's exploding into loot. I just feel like that's one of those, I'm playing a different game than these other people kinds of levels, or kinds of, I don't know what I was saying there. But yes, ascension levels. That's right. Ascension levels is what it is in Slay the Spire. So I haven't followed any of the content, which is too bad because I'm sure there's lots of great stuff out there for it, like any of like the promotional stuff. And I also still need to play Silksong, which I still can't get over how inexpensive this game is. $20 game. And I got it as a gift even, so I have no excuse. I own it. It's in the Steam library, along with, you know, it's where Steam games go to die, right? Or not go to die, where your catalog goes to die. So I have the Steam. It's in Steam. It's installed. Which I will say that's already a testament a little bit, because most of my Steam games I buy never get installed, which is so bad. But I do have a handful that are installed. Which, you know, maybe that's like a fun little, you know, seeing what people actually have installed and ready to go in their Steam library says, I guess, a lot about like the kinds of games they enjoy. Because I have, the games I have right now are, well, let's actually see here. Balatro, Arc Raiders, Baldur's Gate 3, which if I click on this, 25 hours total played. So sad. This game I really need to spend time on. But Arc Raiders, Balatro, Baldur's Gate 3, The Bazaar, which Will and I were both like heavy Hearthstone junkies, and I really like The Bazaar. Good game. Deadlock. Oh, this one hurts. Destiny 2. 1,000 hours played. So that's just, it's so sad what's happened with this game. Last Epoch, which I could probably uninstall. Pal World, which I can probably uninstall. Repo, great game, which I can probably uninstall. And finally, Path of Exile 2 is in my Steam library. And so I don't actually have Silksong installed. So that whole piece about me, well, at least I have it installed. I lied. Clearly I don't. I guess I need to install that and get that thing going so I have a reason to actually click on it. Quite a bit of interesting story stuff happening in Helldivers 2. You know, Helldivers 2, I've been really interested to see the maintain their players and the fanfare around it. Because definitely when it first came out, it it seemed like a massive player base and lots of exciting stuff happening with it. I would love Helldivers 2 to go the route of No Man's Sky, which obviously very different stories there of like how those games developed. But No Man's Sky, years later, I have to imagine far past when any of this has been profitable, has continued to develop and produce content. Most recently, I think it was like their ships update where people were creating like Star Destroyers and things like that in the game. I would love for Helldivers 2 to go the same route of, you know, continuing to develop lots and lots of content. I also think it's a bit interesting, you know, Diablo 2 released their DLC, if you can call it that, the Warlock class, which seems to be pretty cool, seems to be pretty exciting. It seems like people are really energized around playing this new class and like some quality of life updates. You know, Blizzard's a corporation. They're going to put a price tag on it. I think it's $25 if you own the game. Otherwise, $40 to get it with it. So, I mean, Blizzard's a corporation. They have a stock price. You know, there's going to be a price point on it. But even that is a good example in my mind of, man, it'd be really cool just to see the passion and heart behind that game translate into adding content. And I'll say just like a more mainstream game, Arc Raiders is doing a really good job of that, in the sense of, you know, we're getting constant updates. They're not meaty updates by any means, but they are cool updates. The Frost event was cool. We got a Hurricane event coming up, and that was a $40 game. So I just look at some of these small studios that seem to be able to figure it out and compare that to these massive studios, most easily being Bungie, which you know, those of us who have suffered playing Destiny 2 for years, it's kind of, you know, you kind of get used to the content drought of just, you know, a DLC gets released and it's a few quests and, you know, a little bit of content, but otherwise not much happening. And you kind of wonder, like, what's going on here? Like, what's going on here? And also, more notably, Ashes of Creation. You know, you have a game that's in development for 10 years and they don't have a quest over level 10. I don't know if that's the headline I saw, by the way. I could be wrong, but what I saw was that they hadn't actually built out any quests over level 10. Like they just never got to that point. And this game's been in development for, you know, 10 years. Compare that to old school WoW. You guys remember the old days of logging into WoW for the first time? I remember being in Elwyn Forest and then finding, you know, Goldshire and going on to Westfall and then going to Stormwind City for the first time. Did you remember this feeling of like walking in and being like, dude, what? And then opening the world map in like every zone except for Hyjal. And I think Silithus at release also you couldn't go to. But cursoring over the zones and being like, what's that? And then like realizing, oh my gosh, I can actually go to this place. Which, you know, I don't know all that Ashes of Creation developed in terms of zones and travel and things like that. But it's interesting to me that a company 20 years ago could create so much, which I think WoW was, someone help me. I think this was a 7-year development cycle. Maybe it was 5, somewhere in there. But builds out this insane game with no AI, much smaller teams, much smaller budgets. Now, granted, WoW, Blizzard had been incredibly successful with Diablo 2, with StarCraft, with Warcraft, the RTS Warcraft series. But it is very interesting to me how these development cycles get so long and takes so much time and such little gets done. But anyway. All right. That's our lunch half hour chatting about whatever the heck comes to mind, I guess. I appreciate you guys tuning in. How was Critical Role last night, by the way? I watched the first like half hour of it and wasn't able to catch the other half of it. So I'm curious if it was a good app. And did we get any confirmation that the next one is the final episode? Which if you watched our 15 review, Will mentioned that Brennan had said there were only 2 episodes left of the Seeker's arc. So I'm curious if we got more confirmation of that in last night's episode or not. But we'll have our episode 16 review sometime next week. And we're getting towards the end of February. So I hope 2026 has been okay for you guys. It's kind of been kind of a wild couple of months here and in the States. But I hope it's going well for everyone. And don't forget, you can always join us in the Discord for more chatter. So much love to you all. Thanks for tuning in today.